pink ribbon. So a little bit more upper body, but sculpting. So I brought along a 2-pound hand weight or a ball. I do have it set up to, maybe in the end we'll stretch out. I have a yoga ball if you have a pillow or something to help kind of open that spine and our chest. And a lot of it will still be done from the floor. And I do have little cheat notes here to keep me flowing. So don't mind me. Okay. Yep, I know. Yes, I love how you know how to modify and how many classes you pop in on. That is awesome. That's yeah. Okay. Nice, 950 plus sessions. I'm 960, very good. And since April of last year. That is awesome. Yep. Okay. Oh, okay. Well, meanwhile, let's get moving then. We'll start in what we call tabletop, so on hands and knees with opening those shoulders. And of course, always following your physician restrictions, recommendations, guidelines, all that goodness. Along with, most importantly, not what the doctor said as much as how your body feels and how your body can move, right? They give us a lot of good advice, but they don't always know how the body is moving, and every day is different, right? So looks like you're ready. And remember, I stream up to my TV to help see not only how I'm moving, but you're moving. So we're just gonna start with kind of a open that arm and circle it through. A little bit of a spinal twist to be able to open that shoulder. And of course, with yoga and any mind body, it's all about flowing with that breath. Keeping that core engaged. And then switching that direction. So I started out to the side, now I'm coming forward and out, scooping through. With that slow inhale and exhale. This time, bring that arm through, threading that needle, trying to bring that shoulder down to the floor. Oh, I guess I'm tight. And bringing that arm through, let's circle again. And threading back through. And again, another big arm sweep. And threading that arm through, trying to lower that shoulder to the ground, or as close as you get. I do not feel mine touching. And let's try and get a little cat-cow in there. So just gently rounding that spine, letting it sink. And starting from the opposite arm, switching arms, coming out to the side, circling around with that breath. Slow and controlled, that mindfulness. And reversing that arm circle, reaching overhead, scooping, bringing down from that shoulder abduction to flexion. And scooping through, bringing that arm through, trying to lower that shoulder towards the ground. Bringing that through, and again, that big arm sweep and threading through. And another sweep and arm circle, threading that shoulder through. Let's do 2 more. And last one. And up to that tall kneeling, clasping those hands behind, lifting, stretching those pecs. With that breath, let's try to forward fold and see if we can bring those arms up a little bit more. This is a perfect class. I hosted or subbed that HIIT class Monday night, and I have delayed onset muscle soreness. Which means I did enough. Let's bring our arms back and again clasp and lift. I often tell my people, you know, if you don't feel it in the next day or 2, then we didn't do enough. You should have done a little more. And another forward fold. Lifting those arms with each breath as best you can. And let's separate those arms. Bring those hands to our hips with a little spinal extension. Maybe even feeling that stretch come down our hip flexors into our quads. And coming into that downward dog. So tucking those toes under and getting ourselves up. What kind of a dog? I don't know. I'm not that, I'm minimal yoga certified. I am not sure. I think, Ron, we have to probably Google that. It doesn't tell me in all my little books what type of dog it is. But I think all dogs do that trick. Now, coming back, let's get our tricep stretches back to tall knee. And just reaching overhead, patting yourself on that shoulder. They have lots of long, different names in yoga. And most of them, you know, I'm certified through Silver Sneakers, and I know enough through my therapy assistant on stretching muscles. And it's a personal trainer type thing and all those older adults. But let's press forward, rounding that upper back. And coming back through again, extending those shoulders, feeling that pec stretch. And then we'll go into a few more, strengthening. So one more this way. And back to that downward dog to plank. So now a series of flowing like motions. So feeling that stretch. Coming down and through into plank. And I'm gonna lower my knees for this one, Ron, and bring those elbows in tight by your side for that tricep push-up. Trying to go as deep as what your deep is. Keeping that breath flowing. Exhale with that lift. And back to that downward dog. And lowering those knees into that up dog. Maybe uncurl those toes. Tuck those toes in. Back to that downward dog. And back to plank. Woo. And back to those tricep push-ups. Keep that breath flowing. And back to that child's pose, stretching, elongating through that spine. And let's roll up one vertebrae at a time. We'll go back to standing and grabbing those weights. I'm also going to grab a water break. Thank goodness for exercising in my basement. Yesterday, Ron, I don't know where you got for heat yesterday, but Green Bay, Wisconsin made 100 on a lot of thermometers. Yes. So, yes, you can see Lambeau Field from my window. Yes, you can see it from my side bedroom. Yeah, so let's go into just that hip hinge, and I'm going to place both weights in one hand and just that row. So keep that back flat. Knees are straight but not locked out. We could do a heavy weight here. But that slow and controlled and intentional movement. And let's switch arms. Rolling slow and controlled, feeling that shoulder move, feeling that pec maybe stretch a little. And coming back up tall and upright. And then we'll go into chair pose. And a combination of like a bicep and overhead press, and then a tricep while we hold our chair pose. If you can't stay in chair pose, that's okay to just do it upright. But we'll try and come down. See if I can get my brain to coordinate this. So bicep, overhead press, bring that back in. And tricep extension. Lower down through those shoulders. Bicep, press overhead. Come back in, rolling in. And then extend through those elbows for triceps. Rounding through bicep, overhead, lower down, tricep. And again, that bicep, overhead. Keep that core engaged and lift it. You know, remembering that pelvic floor as well. We're not just drawed in, we're lifted internally. Bicep, overhead press, pull through, tricep. One more. bicep, overhead press, draw through, tricep, coming up. Now, let's go back to plank, so keep those weights nearby. And we'll just kind of roll that down. And back to that top of a push-up, our plank. And we're gonna bring our knee to elbow or wrist, same side. Keep that breath flowing. And try and bring that knee across. And slowly lower down. And again, rounding that spine and letting it sag and arch. And let's kind of thread that needle through again. Stretching into that shoulder, bring the other arm forward, stretching that spine. And switching arms. Again, threading that one through. Other one is extending forward with each inhale and exhale a little bit deeper. And rolling back up, back into some warrior lunges. I know, it's a lot of up and down, right? All right, so I'm gonna bring into that warrior lunge the best you can. Triangle pose is fine, but if you can flex and hold that lunge, and then bringing those arms up and back down, trying to open. And it's okay if as we start to age, to be a little bit further ahead of the body. It's actually working those biceps and the attachment area better. Holding that up for that bicep curl. Slow and controlled. Keep that breath flowing. And just kind of open and pulse. Lift and pulse up. A little flexion in that elbow as best you can. And straighten that lunging limb. And we'll go into triangle. So trying to open that arm straight up. And then into side lunge, arms just kind of follow. Slow and controlled. Ooh, which way? Coordinating that brain. I love the spinal flexion in this, which helps loosen those shoulders as well. Bring those feet together. We'll roll those shoulders. And taking that to the other direction. So we started with that warrior lunge. Bring those arms out. And that bicep curl. Slow, deep breaths, slow, controlled movement. Feel your muscle work. This is one of, for the really strong, they could add a heavier weight with that isometric to the shoulder. And if you're compromised, being that it was called pink ribbon yoga sculpt, that's usually an indication of shoulder surgeries. And arms open and a little pulse. So you want to be cautious of how you're moving with that quality, never quantity. Straighten that leg. And again, into that triangle and into that lunge. Following with those arms. Getting that lateral flexion to our spine. And roll those shoulders. We'll go back to the other side for our lunge. And then I've got to get my coordination on this, but if you want to try and add, because mine are 2-pound weights, but be leery of what your poundage is. We're going to roll up and then extend. So a little bit of a spinal twist, and you can extend if you want, or you can just roll, opening that pec. Pivot to the other side. Again, sinking into that side lunge, finding your mobility with that row and a little bit of a spinal twist. And I'll join you there with that arm extension, slow and controlled. Keep that breath flowing. Just a couple little downward dog to up dog to stretch our back and our legs. So letting that weight go. Let spinal roll. Walking out to that downward dog. Scooping down into up dog. Stretching through that spine. Coming back into that down dog. That exhale, coming back through to up dog and back to that down dog. Another set of that chest. Grabbing your weights again and back into that warrior lunge. This time we're just gonna add an upright row and then pinch those shoulder blades together and back. Pretending our vertebrae or spine is a pool noodle and we're trying to pick it up. And switch the direction, thumbs lead up. Turn those palms over, bicep, back, palms face in, lower down. Palms in, rotate up, bicep, and down. Let's lead up and down. Palms facing down. Just working that a little bit differently. And let's draw back. Still working that bicep a little because that elbow is flexing and extending. And pivot those feet to the opposite side. Let's get that upright row. Pinch behind. And again, lead up with those thumbs, rotate up, bicep curl, trying to keep those elbows, well, that upper arm up, right? All right, we're coming near a close, so let's take it back to the ground. We'll go through a downward dog to an up dog, and then we'll get onto our back side a little bit. So that folding down, forward fold, walking out, and feeling that stretch through your arms and your legs. Coming through to that up dog, letting that spine stretch. And let's come back over to our back side. And if you want to grab, if you have a yoga ball or that pillow nearby, let's place that just kind of below our shoulder blades or between them. And just extending as best you can over it. And this time I have my palms facing my feet. Oh, the yoga ball gives you a little play there. And now I'm going to face my palms to each other to allow that chest to open more. Bring those palms together and folding at those elbows for that tricep again. And last one. Rolling yourself up to tall sitting. Whatever is comfortable for your legs. If it's at the side of that bed, that's great. I'm going to try and open my hips a little by sitting this way. Focusing on that deep breath as we cool ourselves down. We have just a couple of minutes left. Rounding that spine a little bit forward, always being aware of our posture. And then lifting that heart or your chest, extending for a seated cat-cow. Flowing with that breath. And sitting tall, let's wrap those arms into our eagles, feeling that tightness. Keeping that breath flowing. And again, rounding through that spine. Do you feel that maybe stretch a little bit more? And then lifting that heart, arching that back. And again, forward for that cat. Extending for that cow. Unwrap. Kind of shake that out. Feel that blood flow. Isn't that nice? Let's rewrap the opposite direction. With that deep cleansing breath. Maybe lift up and down. Flowing with that breath. Unwrap, feel that looseness. Bringing one arm behind, the other one on the knee for that spinal twist. Opening your chest. Letting that go, going the other direction. And that deep cleansing breath, big arm sweep. Let's bring our palms together with our fingers pointing up. Inhale the kindness from the universe. Exhale, release that to your heart. Inhale your love from your heart. Exhale, release that to the universe. Rotate out. Inhale the love from the hearts of the world you encounter. Exhale, put that in the universe. Open your thumbs as you inhale, grabbing the smiles from your heart. Rotate through, release to the world. Open the pinkies, gather the smiles from the hearts of the world, bring them into yours. Thanks for joining me live.